Welcome to the talk show. I am Deborah Rose, and I'm really excited today. We have incoming Mayor Thomas Morrissey as our guest, but we're going to let the audience build a little bit, so thank you for joining us. Please be willing to like and share this program so that some of your friends can see. We really want to get the word out. We want to hear about the vision and the history and the experience of our incoming mayor. So thank you for joining us, and stay tuned. We will be going live here in just a few more seconds. Yeah. Well, should I be promoting Starbucks? You have Starbucks coffee in there too.
Is that Starbucks? No, it actually is. Maybe Starbucks. It's Cura. Yes, the organics.
Okay, the Aztec.
Yeah, right. The stronger the better.
Me too.
I like the coffee to walk to me. It's that strong.
3 shots of espresso. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Okay, thank you again for joining us. We're letting the audience build. This is the talk show in Payson, conceived and designed by the illustrious Cameron Davis, who's behind the camera. Just want to give a shout out to Cameron and Razor Thin Media. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Thomas Morrissey, who has quite a distinguished career and past. So as we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this interview, I'd like to start off by asking you, Tom, to tell us a little bit about your history. It's very interesting. You've been in the music business and the martial arts. You're a retired U.S. Marshal. So why don't you go ahead and just please share a little bit about you?
I'll give some chronological history. I was in the United States Army. Of course, I live in the United States. I was in the United States Army in the 4th Armored Division. I started out, I did a year of college and then went into the military and completed my degree later on. But from that I got into the music business and had a hit records that a $1.5 million seller called Baby Blue, and I put together a group called the Echoes, and we had that, and then we had a song called Bluebirds Over the Mountain, and recorded in Nashville, and Ray Stevens and Jerry Reed, the actor, singer, were sidemen on those sessions. And then I realized that time was passing by, and I had a young family, so I tested for the U.S. Marshal Service and was appointed as a Deputy U.S. Marshal. Excuse me, I started out in Brooklyn, New York, and you may be surprised because I don't have a New York accent, and went from Brooklyn, then transferred to upstate New York, which is like a different country, and was there, and then got promoted, came out to Phoenix, got promoted to Chief Deputy, and then was moved to Omaha for an orientation period, about 1.5 years, and then back to Phoenix because Arizona is a bigger district. During my time as a deputy marshal, I worked 8 years chasing DEA fugitives. Worked all over the world, even in Singapore. So I was attached to police departments around the country as part of their squads, narcotic squads, and squads and things like that. Retired from the Marshal Service and was appointed as Inspector General for the Department of Economic Security by the governor. The powers that be in that agency whittled that job down, and then they moved me over to Chief of the Office of Special Investigations, and I was charged with 132 people all over the state. During that time I was able to reduce and this is important, to reduce my budget by 30%, turn the money back to the government, and improved production by 20%.
Wow.
And that was not well received because I was told that money would never come back, and my response to that was that money was not their money, it belongs to the taxpayers.
Amen.
And so right on we went. Then I retired from that position. I was there 11 years. And then somehow became the chairman of the Arizona Republican Party. And I was a write-in candidate, bless you, and I was a write-in candidate, 3-day campaign, went up against a candidate, establishment candidate. I am not establishment. And went up against somebody who had been running for 90 days, and they spent $20,000 on his campaign. A nice man, believe me, he was a nice guy. It was nothing personal. And somehow the grassroots came through for me, and I got elected chairman. And the establishment said they would not support the party whenever a grassroots chairman was in power. So what happened was we came through. We raised almost $4 million. After the election in 2012, I was called by the New York Times the Thursday after the Tuesday election and informed by them that we were the #1 performing Republican Party in the country.
That's phenomenal.
We won every statewide race. We elected a Jeff Flake. We re-elected Sheriff Arpaio. We turned 2 counties, and this is one of them, Gila County, from Democrat to Republican, and we delivered the state to Governor Romney by 12 percentage points. And that was that. So here I am now.
How did you get to be mayor? I mean, it sounds like everything about you is very stealth, and so how did you get to run for mayor?
I was recruited. I was at an event, a Firewise event, and so my wife was there. My wife Chris is a member of the Firewise committee, and so there was an event. And I just happened to be with her. I was accompanying her for moral support at one of the booths, and 2 ladies, very strong-willed ladies from the community, grabbed me in the corner, and one twisted my arm, the other one hit me until I said I'd run for mayor. So I ran, and I'm very, very glad I did. And I've gotten to know some incredibly wonderful people, including you.
Thank you.
And very supportive. And here I am, and I intend to do the job I was elected to do, and to represent this town properly.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad that you're our incoming mayor. And I want to, before we get into this a little bit further, talk to us about, you're an author, and you've written a book, many books.
Yes.
But there is a book in particular that is of curiosity to me. It's called The Way of the Shadow Wolves. Would you tell everyone a little bit about that book and the meaning? I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Well, I co-wrote the book with Steven Seagal. And Stephen and I know each other as martial artists. We've known each other on and off for a long time. And the book is about a group that actually exists in the Native American communities around the country. They're called the Shadow Wolves, and they are super trackers. It's said they can see footprints on rocks. They also happen to be, many of them, members of the tribal police, Native American tribal police. And Stephen is half Russian. His father was born in Russia. As some people might know, he teaches Putin martial arts, and which is funny because Putin's half his height. But Stephen's 6'6". So his father being half Russian, Stephen was granted dual citizenship before Donald Trump was elected for political reasons. And Stephen's mother is a full-blooded Mohawk Indian, Native American. Mm-hmm. And Stephen is a member of the Shadow Wolves. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we combined my experience as a fugitive hunter and deputy U.S. Marshal, and Stephen was a deputy sheriff in Louisiana before he became a major movie star. Wow. So he has a law enforcement background. So we wrote this book, and the subtitle is The Deep State and the Hijacking of America. Now there is a book out that's called Killing the Deep State by Jerome Corsi that is a major bestseller. I mean, it's a blockbuster. And what Amazon has done is they paired our book with that book. And because we have a fictional account of what that book is talking about in reality. So the eerie part of this is, and we took 2 years to write the book, the eerie part is we wrote about the massacre that took place in Las Vegas a year before it happened.
With the Jason Aldean concert, or
no, it was just a set because the book developed. I don't mean to mislead.
Okay.
The book developed. What the book is about: corruption in the federal government, the deep state corruption, but it's also about the Islamic terrorists that we believe have come across the border and are sitting here in the country. And that was one. It's in the epilogue, but that does take place. The corruption in the federal government with the agencies, the FBI, and so forth, is in the book, and we wrote about that way before it came out. So it's in the book, and the book is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's in brick and mortar stores. It's doing very well. It's a bestseller in several genres on Amazon right now.
So will you tell the audience what the name of the book is one more time?
Okay. The Way of the Shadow Wolves.
Okay. I've ordered my copy.
Thank
and
you.
It's coming today, so I'm going to get an autograph since we have you handy locally in Payson.
And when Stephen's back in country, he's out of country now, I'll make sure that he signs your book.
Thank you. That's really, really nice. Okay. What an accomplished and fascinating man you are.
Thank you.
And your wife is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I will enjoy getting to know her more as you're moving into the public forum of Payson. Godspeed to you. I know that we're living in a society that is really shame-based media. I hate it.
Yeah.
You can't have an opinion anymore without getting completely destroyed. And so talk to me a little bit about your vision for when you move into becoming our mayor, some of the issues that you see that you'd like to address immediately.
Well, besides setting up a machine gun nest outside of the town hall, what I feel is really needed right now is more openness. I mean, I campaigned on transparency.
Okay.
I supported 401 and 402, Props 401 and 402, based on the fact that I'm not opposed to a rec center or community center at all. I support that. What I was against was the process by which it was being brought. That was a problem for me. And I addressed it in my campaign. Apparently enough people agreed with me on it. But part of the problem with that whole deal, that whole effort, was that it was not presented to the public properly. Maybe had it been, there might have been more support for it. And I believe that is a lack of transparency. It's a lack of dialogue between town government and the citizenry. We are established. This country stands on 3 words: we the people. And we the people are who really must be represented. So when you have, and this is part of the fault of we the people, and I used to point this out when I was state chairman, is that we look at people elected to office and we make them celebrities. Now, I can see that already kicking in. I'm walking around town, people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're Tom Morrissey," blah, blah, blah. And some of you, I say, "What makes you think that?" Right? But my face has been plastered all over. But it's very flattering, all right? And it's intoxicating. And what happens when people get elected to office, they start changing their perspective of who they are and what their mission is. So what I say to the folks is, do not make anybody a celebrity that's elected to office, number one. And I say to those of us elected to office is that we serve the people. We work for the people. They do not work for us. And whatever respect that we're given is earned. It should be earned. It's not inherent. So part of that is transparency, is talking to people and dialoguing. And now I've been out since during the campaign, and especially since I've been elected, talking to businesses, that's a mouthful for me, and talking to people. I walk the park in the morning, I talk to people in the park that are walking, I go in to small businesses, I go to every group that will allow me to speak to them. Yesterday afternoon I was over at Powell Place, speaking to the seniors and representing that part of the community. In the morning, I spent the morning with our economic development people, and Sheila Deshay, who is very impressive, and I believe is doing a great job. She's a really impressive lady. And I learned a lot about the mechanics of town government, who's doing what, and all that I could absorb. But what I picked up was a better understanding of what is actually happening here, the dynamics in our town. And what I heard when I was campaigning from the people, and what I'm hearing now, and what I saw and heard yesterday with the economic development folks, and I got this, even the water department, is the people, they're doing a really good job, from my first blush, from what I was able to see. But what's not connecting is people are not understanding that what they're doing, and so there's like a public relations problem there. And that's going to be one of my challenges. I'm going to have to solve that.
Okay, so you're saying it's communication
Absolutely.
amongst the different cogs of the machine, for lack of better words. Right. So how do you propose that the communication can improve significantly? Are you going to have outreach groups that will be your eyes and ears, and then try to be the glue that keeps us all together? Are you going to increase town hall meetings? What are some of the things that you'd like to see happen?
Town hall meetings are a must, and we're going to do them. Whatever we call them, however we structure them, people are going to have their chance to vent and to express their opinions. We're not going to go nuts. I mean, we're not going to do something that invites Antifa in here or something like that. But we're going to have that. The main thing is dialogue. We got to create a dialogue between the community and town government, and the methodology is, I'm going to develop, hopefully. This is very, very important. I'm going to ask each of the 6 council members to represent a segment of the society that makes up our town. That doesn't mean that that will be their only job. Okay. They were elected to represent the town, but to bring more focus so that they can bring and meet with frequency. For example, let's say with the senior community. Just to say that. Yes. Okay, and to bring more focus on that, and to bring the concerns to the table, to the town meetings, because in those concerns are solutions, and we got to hear them. We have to know what's going on, and I'm sure that we have the mechanism, we have the resources to solve a lot of the problems. Not all of them, but we have that. But and I have people advising me on the, for instance, the homeless. I'm going to meet with the person that's heading up the homeless group who will advise me. I have a law enforcement advisement group of professionals. Probably in that group we have 400 years of experience. There's people who were advising me on that, and so forth and so on. But the official representation will come from the town council. Now, there's one council member that went public, candidate for the council, that went public saying that she'll not be part of that because and I think she misunderstands what I'm saying. I'm not saying that should be the only part of the job, but it should be a big part of her job if she gets elected. So.
What about town hall meetings? I hear a lot of complaints that people feel that they're not heard. Do you think that the 3-minute rule on speaking in the town hall meetings is sufficient, or would you like to see an increase in that time frame?
I want to create at the council meetings. Right now we have 3 minutes, and it's too short. I want to take that to 5 minutes. And since I run the meetings, I'm going to do that. And but I'm not looking for oratories. I mean, and we can't because those meetings can run on and on. But you respect everybody's time constraints, but also everybody's opinion. You need more time. I've spoken before the town council for 3 minutes, and it was very rushed. I couldn't get out what I wanted to get out. And I can talk pretty fast and think fast, but I think it's a disservice to not make them longer. So that'll be one thing. But we're going to have town hall meetings, community outreaches, where we can get people together, and maybe in churches or in big enough areas we can get a big enough group, and we're going to talk to one another. And the town council, I'm going to really encourage them to be there at those, so that we can give answers that are asked, and people that have the answers will be present.
That's wonderful. And they'll still be broadcasted through the town's website. They do have the video recordation, so you'll continue with that.
Yes.
And it sounds like you've got a good plan in mind. Do you have any intention, since you're so good with money and putting money back into the coffers of Payson, can you just address us for a moment or two about the taxes and how you feel you're going to approach, I believe, the federal government? Don't we have to repeal the food tax at this point, the 3% food tax? Or?
Well, the food tax is the cruelest tax of all. No matter how much, I don't care if it's 1% or 1%. People have to eat, and we have people on fixed incomes. We have young families. We don't have a base here that can support, I believe, food taxes. So that's the first thing I'm looking at.
Okay.
The taxes, I am an opponent. If taxes are to be placed on the people, they should be brought before the people for the people's approval. And if we can't make a case for that, then there shouldn't be the taxes. So, and the tax structure, I think we're doing okay now because the economy is up, and under the president, his programs, he's really brought the economy back. It's benefiting us right now. Okay, not to make it a political issue, but I will. But the main thing is that we serve the people. That was my problem with the Rumsey Park thing. That was not brought before the people, and we serve the people. They do not serve us. And it is representative government, but representative government means when you run for office, you state who you are, you state what your platform is, and you better damn well stay true to it. And that did not happen. So therefore, when people say, well, I believe I'm a Republican based or Republicanism. I believe in a Republican form of government, but that is based on what a person says when they're being elected. That represents the people's will. If it's violated, then all bets are off.
Yeah, your word is everything. It's integrity, and it matters to people, because I think as a nation, we're really just tired of all the empty promises and things not being done, or being done exactly the opposite of how it was presented to the public. So I think there's ways to do that. I think balancing the budget for Payson is going to be a pretty high priority, and putting the money in places where it will benefit the masses, just not a few. That's what I hear you saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I want to go back. I want to take a look at the budget, reprioritize it. There's things that have to be done. I think we have a problem in the first responders, resources to them. I think that we've become like a farm system for a Major League Baseball team. We bring people, police officers, bring them in, get them experience, get them post-certified, and then they get recruited by other. Same with the fire department. I mean, there's an expertise that's required in the fire department, and we have to retain the people that we bring to that level. And I know that we're losing a couple of firemen over the winter to other departments. So, and it's just common sense, and that's what I want to bring to town government, is common sense. Something makes sense, then we have what's called common law. Common law is based on common sense and fairness, and I have a problem with cronyism. Everybody's got friends and all of that, but everyone must be treated fairly, and we have to have a level playing field, and that's what I will do my utmost to bring.
Well, based on your experience in the justice system and being a ex-law enforcement officer, thank you for your service, by the way, and thank you for your service in the Army.
It was an honor.
I think this town is phenomenal in the fact that we really do appreciate our veterans, and one of my biggest concerns as a realtor is affordable housing, and I do have a heart for veterans, so hopefully we can open up dialogues regarding affordable housing, because as the real estate market continues to rise, we are seeing an attrition rate, and we're not able to provide housing, affordable housing, for some of our heroes, and I think that needs to be addressed as well. But having said that, I think you're a hero, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your service immensely, and I know that there will be thousands of people in this community that feel the same way. So do you have anything in mind for veterans, any kind of focus groups for them,
Yes.
someone to articulate their voice? Okay.
I have a great deal in mind for veterans. Having been a veteran, being a veteran, and the two things that really touch my heart are homelessness and veterans, and veterans who are homeless. I met a man last Sunday. I was driving back from Safeway, and I saw a man sitting out on the corner of 260, right there. And it just struck me. He was just sitting there, and he just looked forlorn. But he didn't have a son. He wasn't begging for money. He was sitting next to his bike. So I parked my car and walked across to him and knelt down beside him. And I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm having a bad day." And I noticed he was maybe 40 years old. He was clean cut, and his bike. And I had been in Star Valley, and when I was driving back, I noticed him riding the bike along the highway. So it was just something that struck a chord. So I said, "Are you?" I said, "You're on the road. Usually that says that you're homeless." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you a vet?" He said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "I am too." And we shook hands. And I said, "Wait, what's going on?" And he said, "I feel like nobody cares about me." And I said, "Well, it's not true. People do care about you, but maybe they don't know about you." So we talked about him being able to clean up, take a shower, and we talked about Hope House, which I'm a very big supporter of.
Yes.
And but that's not open really to men to go and take showers. It's shelter for women. But there is a man shelter that we are putting together. There's going to happen. Pastor Roscoe and Pastor Joe, who are street pastors, are working on that. I'm going to try to help them. But what the message I got from this man was that nobody cared. So I said, "Well, I'm the new mayor here. And my name's Tom Morrissey, and you're going to have a friend, okay? And we're going to try to do something." I said, "I don't know at this point exactly what we can do, but we're going to do more than is being done." And he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Tom Morrissey." "I saw your signs all over." I said, "Yeah, that's the biggest complaint." But we shook hands, and I offered to buy him something. I'm not into really handing out money, but I will buy people a meal.
Yes.
And he said, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just sitting here. And then we God blessed each other and left. And so the thing is, we have a homeless problem, and we have homeless veterans. Now, luckily, the man who was my chief of staff when I was state chairman of the Republican Party is now the executive director of Veterans Affairs in a sub-cabinet role right under Donald Trump. And we've been talking, and he's now in the mix. He's going to be helping us.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's God.
Yes, that's God. Thank you, God.
Yeah. And so anyway, so Thayer Bashir is his name. He served in the state senate for 4 terms, and I was lucky enough to get him as chief of staff when I was chairman. So I think we're going to be able to get some things happening here. And Jim Muir, and Jim,
local hero, and Bud Hoffman.
Bud Hoffman. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful, and so glad that you have that kind of connection. That is going to be a huge thing for Payson. And just kind of wrapping this up, talk a little bit about your economic vision for Payson. What do you see in our future, and how can you influence it to maybe put it in a direction where we will be a healthy fiscal community at some point down the road?
Well, I'm going to have an advisory. I'm going to be advised on economics. As I said, I've run large organizations. I understand how that works. Payson, of course, every organization is different. And Payson, this is the first time I've dealt with leading a town. But the first thing I want to do is I want to examine the budget, and I want to look at prioritizing.
Okay.
How we spend our money. I want, and there's software available that will bring, that we can bring to the public. We can publish every penny we spend, and the public has a right to know that. We can post it, and we will do that. The dynamics of, I mean, there's different areas of where money is being spent that I'm not so certain that we can't redirect some of the money. And the areas like with our first responders, I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned. So I want to look at that. The roads, the paving. I was given a presentation yesterday about what we have. There's not a lot of money in our paving programs now. We got to look at that and direct. We have to have an infrastructure. We have to have a reliable, redundant internet. We've got to attract industry, light industry. I don't want to negatively impact our environment, but if we don't have a redundant internet, we're not going to get anything done. I mean, the internet goes down with so much frequency, it's almost unbelievable. So that'll be,
I know it.
and that will impact our economy. That will give us more robust income. Well, I want to take us from a pass-through town to a destination. We have, we were talking about that earlier. The destination is we have everything here.
I know.
I mean, this is perfect.
I know.
So, but there's different ways of doing it. I'm looking at the event center. Yes. Developing the event center to a point where we can have events the year round.
Yes.
Covering it and making it so we can use it for event. And that area around the event center, the town owns 41.5 acres. We could take that. We could put in a water slide. In the wintertime, it could be a sled slide. We can put in the go-go tracks. The little race tracks. We could put in miniature golf. We can put in a carousel. We can make this an area where young families can come, where people can come, not negatively impact our infrastructure, but come and stay. Come up here and stay a week. We're an hour and a half from Phoenix area.
I know.
And there's all kinds of industry leaving California.
Yes.
Why aren't they coming here? Because of the internet. And I mean, if we're going to attract a university, we're going to attract anything like that, we have to have redundant internet. And I think we're not that far from achieving that. But I'm gonna lean on that. Every contact I have, everybody I know, I'm going to be calling them and asking them for help. So.
I'm so happy that you said that. As a small business owner, we've been put out of business numerous times. So I just want to wrap this up. I know we're almost out of time. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Tom, I'm really excited about our future and some of the things that you'll be able to accomplish. And I wish you all the best of luck. Is there any last closing statement that you'd like to make to the public before we end this conversation?
Well, I thank you. I really thank you for this opportunity, and I want to assure you that and the folks watching and the town that I am real, and I'm going to do what I promised I would do. I can't make promises, and I won't make promises I can't keep. The only promise I will give you is that I ran on a platform, and I intend to deliver on that. I will do. The promise I will give you is I will do everything I possibly can, and then some, for the benefit of this town. I love Payson. My wife loves it. We feel blessed to be able to live here. We love it's like you wake up in the morning and look out at the rim, from our house and say, it doesn't get any better. And thank you, Lord, for letting us be here, and we both feel so blessed, and I'm so honored that the town elected me as mayor. Yeah. And I will not let you down.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining the talk show live today. We will be back next month with a special guest. We haven't determined who that is yet, but thank you for joining us. Please share this conversation, and thank you, Cameron Davis with Razor Thin Media, for producing this production. Have a great day.